Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. We're going to be working with a gel press plate this week and making some beach themed cards for Make the Cards Challenge. It is almost beach time and we have a beach theme over on Make the Cards Challenge. So we are going to do a little gel press and we're going to be using Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set by Stampin' Up! And we're also going to be using the 3D embossing folder, a gel press plate. We'll also need a brayer. We're going to be doing this with distressed oxide inks. I have dried marigold, wilted violet, picked raspberry. I have some Nina Solar white cardstock, a couple of acrylic blocks. And to finish off cards, I have some extra sets of dies over here that include the meadow dies for a butterfly, scalloped contour dies. This is a new set. It has all these beautiful shapes in them for an edge and different squares and stuff. So I might use those. I don't know yet. I might also do some rough edges. I haven't done that in a really long time. So I don't know. We're going to play with some different things today and make this. So what I'm going to do first is actually I'm going to emboss the image onto some cardstock and I'm going to impress that into the gel plate, and then I'm going to actually pick that up and have the negative of it on the card as well. So we're going to do that a couple of different ways, and then I'm also going to use the stamps to create a background with my gel press. This is so much fun. If you've never used a gel press before, it's a lot of fun. It's way different. You get these really muted, beautiful backgrounds. I've been playing with it with some different kinds of inks, and I used some dye inks, and I wasn't really happy because I got the speckled look with it. But this is the impression. This is the actual embossed image of it, and this is the negative of it, and this was with the dye ink, and I didn't get enough. It wasn't enough ink left on the gel press itself to be able to, on the plate itself, to be able to get a good second image. This one wasn't too bad. This one I really actually liked a lot. And I'll probably use this to make a card. And this is the first time I did it with the embossing, the actual embossing image. So we're going to just play around with some stuff, but this is just a piece of gel. It's infused with a special oil. It smells good. It smells really good. I don't think anybody really talks about that, but it smells really good. It comes in a couple different shapes. Of course, I'll link to it below. It's a lot of fun to play with. You can do a lot of different things. You can put a stencil over it and ink over that, and then pick it up and then put the paper on it. It's a million different things you can do, and I've been playing with it a whole lot. Hang on. These are some images where I was playing the other day. So this is a stencil, and you can see where I had another stencil in the background there. I actually stamped with the stencil. So this is the inked side of the stencil, and where I picked it up and I flipped it over and put it on the paper and actually stamped with the stencil on that one. And here's another stencil that's in that image. And this is a stencil over top of a stencil, and I stamped with the stencil down here. And that stencil on top of stencil. I was just playing around this day, and this is distressed oxide inks. I really like how bold these are, so I was just playing around just to get a feel for it, to see what you could do. This one was actually a great big huge accident. I put the heart down. I actually was just going to ink up the gel press for the very first time, and I picked up my paper and I put it down, and I did not realize that static had caused a heart to stick on the paper when I put it down. So when I picked it up, there's this heart stuck to it. So that was kind of ironic. So I picked the heart back up and flipped it around and had the heart there. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I've just been playing around with it. I'll link to some videos of some people that I have watched to do gel press, so you can see some other techniques and just a lot of fun things to do with gel press, and some different mediums that you can use. You can use acrylic paints, and a heavy body acrylic paints are what you want to use with this. And yeah, so let's get started and have some fun. Okay, so here's the really fun part about doing backgrounds with gel plates. You're going to get just beautiful, beautiful subtle patterns with it. And it's a lot softer than doing ink blending. You're going to get a subtle pattern in it. You can also put patterns in it more easily than if you're doing ink blending. It's just very different than doing it directly to your paper. So first I'm going to add some color directly to my paper. The handle that I'm using here with this block is just something I've had in my stash for a long time. You can use another, just a plain acrylic block. That's absolutely fine. It was just something I had in my stash. So I have a little bit of a background already, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my background again with just a little bit more paint and a little bit more Distress Oxide ink, and go ahead and smooth that out with my Brayer. And what the Brayer is doing is just moving that ink around on that gel plate. That's all it's doing. You can actually use that Brayer to re-ink your gel plate as you're working if you wanted to. Now I'm going to go ahead and run my inked background through my die cut machine with that 3D embossing folder. We know 3D embossing folders give a lot of dimension to paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually impress that back down into our gel plate. And I'm just lightly pressing. I'm not giving this a lot of pressure. I'm just setting this down on here a couple times just to make sure that I have a good, amount of pressure on it, but not completely. And you could see where it picked up the ink. Now I'm pressing a clean piece of paper into that, and I'm giving that a good amount of pressure. And then we're going to pick this up, and look at this. This is gorgeous. Look at that subtle impression. Oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? You would never be able to do that with ink blending. That's just not something you could do. Now, if you do this with acrylic paint, you're going to get a more bold impression. You're going to get more. You're going to be able to achieve more lifts with your paper, where what that means is that you're going to be able to pull more ink up with the paper. Sherry Carroll has so many good videos with gel press, and I'm definitely linking to her over on my blog, some of her videos, and just absolutely gorgeous stuff. Now, this is something that I hadn't tried before, and I just wanted to get all of the ink off of my Brayer there, and so I just smoothed all the ink out, and then I just went and picked it all up with my paper, and I have this beautiful pattern on my background and on my paper there. Absolutely gorgeous. The only thing that you need to clean up your gel press plate is a damp cloth, and I'm just using a stamp chamois to wipe it off, and it's nice and wet. And then I take that same stamp chamois and roll my Brayer on it. Ta-da! It's all nice and clean. And I had some trash on it, and I was having a hard time getting trash off of it because, unfortunately, I have a little gray four-legged critter that has decided that she really likes to live on my craft desk now. So she tracks crap on my desk. And it's really hard to keep it clean sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to try something else, which is, and I know with acrylic paint this is really, really bold, but with Distress Oxide inks, I wanted to see how well this worked, and I ended up making a card with this at the end. I stamped the stamps on the background on my gel plate to see if I could get a background, and it's kind of hard to see on video. It's kind of hard to see in person to see where I stamped, but it does come through on the paper. You can really see it, and after it dries, it comes through even better. It's a very subtle background. It's a very pretty background, and it's one of the first cards that I make. You can really see it, and it was a lot of fun to make. So I just filled in the background here and filled in all the little holes with some of the smaller stamps here, and kept pulling out acrylic blocks to put the stamps on. It made it much easier to clean after everything, after I was done. Made it easier to clean all the stamps up. And then once I was finished with this, I'm going to try to stamp the stamps back into that empty space, but we'll get there in just a second. This ended up being a very, very subtle background. You still see all of the shapes that are in there. And I actually turned this into a card, and it's a very pretty card. And the longer it sat, the more bold it got. Like as it dried, it got more bold, which I found very interesting. And I think that was a property of the Distress Oxide inks. So you see all of the outlines of all of the images here, and it got more bold. And this is that's the background that I picked up all of the extra ink that was on the gel plate. And this is, it would work a whole lot better with like acrylic ink, acrylic paint than it did with this ink. And maybe if I had re-inked all of the stamps, this would be absolutely gorgeous. But it wasn't enough ink left on the stamps themselves to be able to do this and still have a bold background. It was way too subtle. It just wasn't enough ink on it, which is fine. I could have taken my brayer and run over all of the stamps and gotten more ink on them. It just wasn't enough ink on them. So that was kind of a fail, which is absolutely fine. You've got to try different things, and I can take that piece of paper that was there and add more stuff to it and get different layers in it and have a different background. Now I am going to show you real quick how to add a little bit more ink and get a little bit of a fade in the background of my paper. And I'm going to emboss with that 3D embossing folder again. And I'm just using, trying to get rid of actually the ink that's on my brayer and on the plate itself. And I'm doing some of this purple again. And I'm going to run an ink pad over the raised image. And then I'm going to put it back down on my gel plate. And it actually softens that ink so much. It is absolutely gorgeous how this happens. And just absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to add a little bit of ink to my gel plate too, so that I can get just a hint more color in my background. It is so cool how it will give an outline to all of the raised images. Daisy, you scared me to death. Oh, life and times of having cats. She just snuck right up on me. I'm so sorry about that. So we're going to wipe our gel plate off here real quick, and we're going to add a little bit more color. I had to clean it off because I'm adding some oranges here, and I didn't want to contaminate my ink pads. So I'm going to go back to our peachy orange color and a little bit more purple at the top and brayer that in, and also a little bit of pink. Oh, maybe I added pink instead of orange because I added orange on top of the raised image there. Yeah, that's what I did. And so I'm going to blend these two together with my brayer, and then I'm going to press into the plate with my raised image that's already been done, and I have that orange on top of it. Oh, it is so pretty. It is so pretty. Make sure that when you're doing this that you get just good pressure on it. I'm not going to be able to lift another piece out of this because I picked up way too much ink from it, so I didn't leave enough ink on my plate to be able to get another pull out of this, which is fine. If I was using acrylic paint, I would have. So for the rest of the video, I'm just going to play some music because I'm just making the cards here, but I wanted you to see that as well. This is that subtle background that I did, and I'm going to do some fuzzy edges around this and then ink them up, add some string, put this on a card base, and I'm making 2 more cards out of the backgrounds that we made. I made a whole bunch of backgrounds, but I'm only going to make 3 cards so you can see some different things that I did here. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. The products that I use, of course, are going to be down below in the description. They're also linked over on my blog. I'll have a link to that. The links to the videos for any more gel press stuff, and I'm going to be doing gel press in the future too as I learn to play with it. And I'll probably pull out some, I'm probably going to go get some acrylic paints, that's for sure, because I really like playing with this stuff. I am going to link to some other videos over on my blog so you can check those out. Also, don't forget to head over to Make the Cards Challenge so you can check out all of the beach themed cards that are over there, because our theme this week is for our let me see if I can get my tongue wrapped around my teeth correctly right now. Our theme this week is the beach, and that's why I'm making so many beach themed cards. So head over to Make the Cards Challenge and join us this week. My card is late. I'm so sorry. And check us out and come and join the fun in that. And there's some really great cards, beautiful cards over there. And I think that's it for this week. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Y'all have a great week.